It's, by my watch, it's 10 o'clock. So if everyone will please stand by invocation and I pledge to the flag. Commissioner Jordan's going to lead us in the session.
Let us pray. Father, Lord, we come this morning thanking you for your grace and mercy and blessings and allow us to come out to conduct the business of the county. Lord, we thank you for this privilege to serve. May you bless all that we do and say, Lord, that it will be a blessing for the citizens of this county. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to call the regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners to order for March 1st, 2017. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. We've got those beforehand and called in corrections. So I have a motion to approve the amendments as corrected.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay. Agenda adjustments. Are they any?
Just the general statute under 6 EMS request is 44-51.4.
With a dash in there.
Yes, ma'am.
For this one.
44-51.4.
Okay. Do I have a motion concerning the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the agenda as modified.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
A motion has been made to accept the agenda as modified and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, delegations. There are none, but we do have some nice delegations. And of course, Mr. Lucas Jackson for Martin and Stearns has an audit report. So we invite you to the podium. Good morning.
Good morning.
Frank.
My name is Lucas Jackson. I'm an accountant with Martin Starnes and Associates. On behalf of
Martin Starnes, I would like to thank you for allowing us to serve as your auditors this past year. We appreciate working with the staff here at Gates County and look forward to working with you for years to come. I'm going to go over some of the highlights from the audit report for the fiscal year 16. We issued an unmodified or clean opinion. Unmodified isn't bad. It's the best you can give. Special thanks to the staff. The audit process is year-long. Takes a lot of work, a lot of time. It was a breeze this year, working with everyone. Your report has been approved by the Local Government Commission. And we'll go into the general fund summary next. The general fund revenues were approximately $11.2 million, which was an increase over the prior year of around $300,000 or 3%. General fund expenditures were approximately $10.6 million, an increase of $1.2 million over the prior year. And revenues covered the expenditures by $628,000 approximately. Here are your fund balance classifications. Serves as a measure of the county's financial resources that are available. 5 classifications: non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. Typically, we have questions with the difference between committed and assigned. An example of committed project ordinance or another ordinance that was adopted by the board that does not expire at the end of the fiscal year. And assigned would be appropriating fund balance for the next year's annual budget. This slide here is just a line graph that shows the general fund in the last 3 fiscal years. As you can see from this line graph, your general fund balance has increased continuously, and increased around $278,000 since fiscal year 15. Available fund balance is what the LGC uses to compare units to other units of comparable size. They use total fund balance, they back out your non-spendable, which is not in cash form, not available, less your stabilization by state statute, and this arrives at the available fund balance. The next slide will go to that calculation. So fiscal year 16, you had a total fund balance of nearly $4.2 million, stabilization by state statute, which is your receivables, of around $1 million, and available fund balance of $3.2 million. This is an increase in available fund balance from fiscal year 15 of around $330,000. In the stabilization by state statute, this can be monies that you have not received. And this available fund balance includes restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned fund balances. So you kind of have to be careful there when looking at an amount you want to appropriate.
Is that the 8%
Yes.
that the LGC requires county to make?
Yes, and well, as a percentage of expenditures, which should be right here. So that 8%, in fiscal year 15, you had 28%, and in 16, a slight increase, 29%. They recommend that you maintain the 8%, which they consider about 1 month of fund balance if revenue ceases to come in. So 29% would be a little over 3 months of available fund balance. And that is, it says expenditures, but it also transfers out a little bit of debt service. But this year, in 16, you didn't have any of that, so you can basically just look at your expenditures amount for that calculation. The next slide here, top 3 revenues of your general fund. Your top 3 revenue sources, property taxes, local option sales tax, and your restricted intergovernmental revenues. These 3 make up 96% of all your revenues and comprise their around 10.8 million. In the next 3 slides, we'll have a breakdown of those top 3 revenue sources. Property tax totaled around $6.3 million, pretty comparable to prior year with a slight increase of around $21,000. Restricted intergovernmentals increased around, $293,000, 14% increase from prior year. Local option sales tax, very comparable, slight increase of only $4,000. So very, very comparable in sales tax. Next slide, top 3 expenditures for your general fund, education, human services, and your general government. These, not a lot of change there. These comprise about $6.6 million, 63% of your expenditures. And we'll go into a breakdown of those here. Education expenditures, very close, slight decrease of $2,000. Human service expenditures, they increased around $20,000 or 1%. These tend to fluctuate, it's based on need within the county. Those are hard to justify for, since it's need-based. General government expenditures, slight decrease of around $1,000. Again, very consistent there with general government. Next slide is the water fund. from the water fund, decrease of around 10,000. Unrestricted net position, decrease there of around 18,000. Charges for services increased, around 28,000. And your debt service requirement was the same for the water fund, so no new debt there. Next slide, the enterprise fund, your landfill cash decreased around 101,000. Unrestricted net position decreased approximately 57,000. Charges for services decreased 24,000. And your operating expenditures decreased around 22,000 for your landfill. Any questions?
You said there was no findings, signed.
There was a deficit fund balance, I believe, in the landfill or solid waste. That was the only financial statement finding, I believe, that we had. But there were a few DSS findings that are in the back of that break down into the specifics in the back of the audit report. Have you received your hard copies? Okay, good.
Wonderful reading.
Thank you.
Regarding some of the findings that that's great, kind of mentioned earlier. We've got some key findings. We only have one has to do with the fact that our ability to provide an audit report based on the technical capabilities of our finance director. How do we stand with that now? Are we in a little better shape? Or is it?
That will continue to be a finding because of our staff.
As long as Martin Starnes continues to provide the audit report, that will continue to be a finding.
So now I basically have to do it yourself.
Yes, you have to, and a lot of it's, software, time. We draft, I would say 90 to 95% of our clients, and that gives us an edge, software advantages, just keeping up with standards and everything of that nature. It would take a lot of time and resources to avoid that finding, so to speak.
And is it not true that most small counties such as states do not have the staff that you do that
Yes, that's.
in the cost of finding?
Because you would, it would take a lot of time and resources. You would probably have to hire some additional, employees to focus in that particular area.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
one thing, I have a question that's pertaining to the operating expenses on the landfill. Do you find that alarming at all as you, from year to year, as you examine that? As far as
If I recall correctly, in the prior year, wasn't there some capital expenditures related to the landfill?
I think they paid.
Yes, they paved several, and they've paved sites this year as well. So, and I believe this is the last year of capital projects. But that's also why we have been aggressively trying to recoup monies from those who have not been paying their quarterly landfill bills as well.
I have a question not related to the audit. I don't know if you can expound on it. Are you familiar with the Hope County situation?
No, I'm not. I actually do not work on that engagement.
I was just curious if you did, if you were aware what their findings might have been to cause LGC to come in and take over the local government of that county as a result of various things prior to that was observed. But you're not familiar with it, so.
No, I've not heard of that one yet.
All right.
It's been in the papers, but somewhat, not a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Carolyn Self of the American American Red Cross. Always nice to see you.
Good morning, to the commissioners and to the chairman. I am Carolyn Self. I am the community volunteer leader for the American Red Cross. We are a 9-county chapter, and Gates is part of our territory. And March is Red Cross Month. But for our Red Cross chapter, we are also getting ready for a big event. In January 4th, 1918, the little chapter in Elizabeth City was born. And we started out with 1 county, and now we have 9, and Gates, we are very proud to say, are one of our counties. So that means that come January 4th, 2018, we will celebrate 100 years of being in service for these areas. And so we're very proud of that. We also today, with our proclamation, talks about our volunteers. And what we're going to be doing is a campaign. It is called 100 Volunteers for 100 Years of Service in our 9 counties. And Gates County is one of those counties we would love to see more volunteers. And the reason being, when there's a house fire, we have to send somebody from one of our other counties, usually Elizabeth City, to come take care of that client on scene, which means that client could be waiting anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, and sometimes 2 hours, depending on where they are in Gates County. So we're doing a big push to be able to get more volunteers to be able to help us, because to have to leave the client standing there for that length of time, it's not really that great, because here they are standing in front of the house they just lost, and they're having to wait for us. So you're going to be seeing a big push in this area to get volunteers to come and do what we need them to do. It's not a lot of hours. It's being on call in case there is a fire and going to the scene. We make sure you're trained, you have all the necessary items that you need to take care of that client. And our chapter averages about, in our 9 counties, about 50 to 60 house fires a year. And right now, as it sits, we only have probably 4 or 5 people trained to be able to do that. So if we had an issue where we had a fire in Gates and I had a fire somewhere else, it would be very difficult to get the help as quickly as possible. So we're kind of hoping that we can get some great volunteers, because Gates County has always been very good to the American Red Cross. And like I said today, and I'm very proud today, I'd like to take a moment. Red Cross redid itself. We reorganized, and today I'm very proud to say that we have our executive director who is covering 20 counties for it, Ms. Callie Edwards. She came on board in October, and I'm kind of working with her. As you know, I was the past executive director. I retired in October 2014, got called March 2015, and now I'm back as a volunteer, because I believe in what the Red Cross does to help people in times of disaster. Of course, our blood services, our CPR and first aid and everything. So today we are proud to announce that March is Red Cross Month.
Do you think it'd be possible to put a blurb on our website that volunteers are needed?
They can send us something. You can send us
I will
something.
actually give you something today that has the information on it that you could put out. I would appreciate that, because it is a great need.
Maybe we could get something in the index as well.
Could you give us a synopsis, other than gathering information on the scene, what else that a volunteer will be responsible for?
What the volunteer does is they meet with the client, and they get all the information about the family and what the immediate needs are right then. Let's say they don't have a place to stay, and so we know that's going to be part of it. And what we do is we have what we call a client assistance card. It's a debit card. After we've taken the information on the client, how many in the family and all of those, we actually give them a client assistance card that before we leave the scene is actually loaded with funds on it, so they can go to a motel, they can get clothes, they can get food. If they have a loss of medications, we have a nurse on call that will talk to them, find out what they need, and work with them to get their medications and everything. We also provide mental health. We do have mental health workers, because sometimes some people don't do as well when they've had a house fire. There's a lot going on, And so, you know, we try to make sure that they are taken care of with the immediate needs. And then usually about 4 or 5 days after their fire, we have someone in our office that calls them and checks on them to see where they are and make sure that they're moving along. If they were to bump in the road, we try to find another resource for them, or if there's something more that we can do, then we do take care of them. But it's just going on that scene, taking and doing it. We have a case sheet. We train people to do this. I've been doing it now for about 15 years, and it's probably one of the most rewarding things that I do is to help somebody after a house fire.
Are there regular meeting requirements? In other words, do you expect volunteers to meet once a month, once every 2 months, 2 times a year?
We are working on that to actually come to each of the counties where we have volunteers and meet with them on a regular basis. We work with their schedules to make sure it's convenient for them. We do upgrade training at that time. If there are other issues that they're having, we make sure that those issues are met, because our volunteers are important to us, because they're given the greatest gift of all is your time. And everybody knows our time is so valuable to us. And so volunteers make such a difference in our communities. And we have a great group of volunteers in our area that do a lot for us.
Okay, I have a American Red Cross Month proclamation here. I would like to read it for American Red Cross Month 2017, a proclamation. In Gates County, we have a long history of helping our neighbors in need. American Red Cross Month is a special time to recognize and thank our heroes, those Red Cross volunteers and donors who give of their time and resources to help community members. These heroes help families find shelter after a home fire. They give blood to help trauma victims and cancer patients. They deliver comfort items to the military members in the hospital. They use their life-saving skills to save someone from a heart attack, drowning, or choking. They enable children around the globe to be vaccinated against measles and rubella. The Gates County Red Cross depends on local heroes to deliver help and hope during a disaster. We applaud our heroes here in Gates County who give of themselves to assist their neighbors when they need a helping hand. Across the country and around the world, the American Red Cross responds to disasters, big and small. In fact, every 8 minutes, the organization responds to a community disaster, providing shelter, food, emotional support, and other necessities to those affected. It collected nearly 40% of the nation's blood supply, provides 24-hour support to military members, veterans, and their families, teaching millions life-saving skills such as lifeguarding and CPR, and through it, restores Family Links program, connect family members separated by crisis, conflict, or migration. We dedicate the month of March to all those who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, and blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Therefore, I, Linda Hoffler, Chairman of the Gates County Board of Commissioners, by the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of Gates County and North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 27th as American Red Cross Month. I encourage all Americans to support this organization in its noble humanitarian mission. In witness thereof, I hereby set my hand to this first day of March in the year of our Lord 2017 and of Gates County, North Carolina. And I'm signing on behalf of the commissioners if they approve this. I guess I got ahead of myself. Well, I have a motion. Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all you do.
I want to thank all of you. I appreciate you taking the time today for this. It means a lot. The American Red Cross is a great organization who cares about people, and that's what we're all about. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. And now you have, I suppose, one from Trudy, Health Resources Plan. Thank you.
Madam Chairman and the rest of the committee commissioners, I appreciate the opportunity to squeeze me in on this agenda. I know it's tight. I was warned about that to start with, so I'm going to be just as brief as I can. I want to talk a little bit specifically about our state funding that we get from the division. Our state funding specifically goes to pay for services that Medicaid does not pay for. It also goes to pay for services for innocent consumers that have no insurance whatsoever. Over the last 2 years, the General Assembly has cut our state funding budget to the tune of about $263 million across North Carolina. 2015, they cut $110 million from the state-funded budget, and 2016, they cut another $152 million. That's across North Carolina. So basically, what that does is it affects, Trillium is one of those 7 MCOs across the state. It affects the way we can provide services for the consumers in our community. The formula that the General Assembly uses is based on our cash balance. So not every MCO pays the same amount of money. It's based on what your cash balance is. So what they've expected us to do is to take our savings and our state-funded balance that we have and replace that money that they have cut, so we're still working with the same amount of money. So we've been able to do that so far. The other thing that affects our cash balance is our reinvestment projects, which I talked at length about the last time I was here. And one of those being the playground. And just to mention, since I'm talking about that, the kiosk that we put in the courthouse and had our ribbon cut in December, we've had 30 assessments that have been completed since December from Gates County. So I think that's a pretty good number for Gates County, that we've actually been able to complete assessments and maybe gotten people help that maybe might not have been wanting to come forward, but they've been able to complete those assessments online. So we just wanted to mention that. So on June 30th, our portion of the $110 million that was cut was 15%. So we were able to use our money to make that the difference in that payment. In June 30th, 2016, our cash balance is continuing to go down because our governing board of directors has reserved a certain amount of our cash balance to reinvest in services in the community, which is a requirement from the General Assembly as well as the Division of Mental Health. So even though our percentage was 13% of the statewide balance, they still used the formula where we had 15%. So while our cash balance continues to go down, they're still using the formula that they were using when we had more cash balance. So we're still paying what I feel like is more than our share of the savings that we have to make up the difference. So in July of 2017, if we continue to have to use that money as we have, our cash balance will be down to $3 million of money. So we've had to use our unrestricted fund balance now with Medicaid to continue to pay for services. So basically what the impact is that for those services that Medicaid doesn't pay for, the group homes, we have some of those individuals living in those group homes for 20 years. There's a group home right here in Gates County that's been here longer than I've been with mental health, which has been 20 years. So I know it's been at least 30, 35 years. Consumers live in those homes. We have those homes all across our 25 counties, and they're all supported by state funds. So if our state funds continues to get less and less, and they continue to cut more and more of our state-funded balance, then it's possible those folks will be affected by that. They may not be able to continue to stay in those group homes. And the other thing for just children, we have over 200 children that are on the wait list for innovation services. And what we do, we use those state-funded services to provide services for those children and some adults as well until they get a slot. So that's another way we use our state funded services. And the other thing is we have a lot of day programs across our 24 counties. There's another day program in Gates County, but there is one in Murphy County. And these are all supported by state funded services that we can't bill Medicaid for those kind of services. So we're continuing to use those services, that money to pay for those programs. And if we get down to the end of the line, there won't be any money. If some of that money is not restored to us, that some of those services are going to start to be affected. And so actually, what I'm here today for is to ask, I had sent you all a resolution that basically is asking for you all to support Trillium and the people that we serve in to the General Assembly to restore our state funding to our budget. We're also asking that the General Assembly allows us to continue using our balance, our cash balance, for the reinvestment projects that we have worked hard to put back in the community and are still doing that, rather than having to use all of our funding to replace the money that they've cut out of our state budget. And then the last thing in our resolution is to say, well, if you're not going to restore all the money, at least adjust the formula that you use and base it on what our cash balance is now to figure what our portion of the cut's going to be. So we're not continuing to pay 15% of that cut and base it on what our cash balance is at the time. So that's basically in a nutshell why I'm here today, just to see if you all would be willing to support that resolution. I do know that a lot of times local government officials, they carry more weight the General Assembly than even what we do. Sometimes we are planning to use the resolutions that we get from all of our 24 counties to go through the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners and work with them to work with our legislators to see if we can get some results. That's basically why I'm here.
Commissioner Freeman, I know you're on the board. Do you have any comments?
Yes, ma'am. If I may, is one, just from observation, I feel sure the General Assembly is not overlooked 15%. I'm sure that they studied that hard as they have with the lottery, and maybe not making all the appropriations from the lottery that we anticipate. But I would certainly like to make a motion, Madam Chairman, after discussion, as back in the resolution for us to.
Would you like to read the resolution so that everybody will know what we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am, I'll be happy to. And it has been a pleasure to work with the board, and not only with the Trillium Board there, but also Bland has also made arrangements that I sit on the Human Rights Board for Trillium as well, and that is rather enlightening to all of us. So I was glad to hear that we've had 30-some people. I did not know that. I had not seen that. Resolution for support of adequate funding to meet the mental health, intellectual, developmental disabilities, and substance use disorder services needed for citizens of Gates County. Whereas Gates County knows that citizens dealing with mental illness and substance use disorders can achieve recovery with the appropriate services and supports, and that citizens with intellectual and developmental disabilities can live productive lives in our communities with similar services and supports. And whereas the funding needed for such services and supports is increasing due to North Carolina's increasing population and the opioid epidemic in our state. Whereas Gates County is a member of Trillium Health Resources, a 24-county LME MCO serving eastern North Carolina, and whereas in accordance with the intent of the North Carolina General Assembly and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, the Board of Trillium Health Resources has developed and is implementing a robust reinvestment plan to use savings that is benefiting the citizens of Gates County with such enhancements as accessible playgrounds, access points, kiosks, and new evidence-based services. And whereas the North Carolina General Assembly has made significant budget reductions in state funding for the past 2 years, and whereas the formula used to allocate the reduction statewide in the current fiscal year was based on 2015 information, which has resulted in a disappropriate reduction to Trillium Health Resources, and whereas these budget reductions can no longer be absorbed by Trillium Health Resources without jeopardizing services to Gates County citizens, negatively impacting the lives of people in need of service, as well as potentially impacting the local economy through job loss. Now therefore be resolved that we, the Gates County Board of Commissioners, do hereby request that the North Carolina General Assembly maintain full state funding for mental health, developmental disabilities, and substance abuse services without further reductions, and allow Trillium Health Resources to continue to use its savings to reinvest in enhanced services in our communities rather than having to use that funding to replace state budget reductions, and modify the formula by which any future reductions in funding are allocated. If such reductions must be made to ensure the reduction is fairly distributed statewide. Adopted this first day of March 2017, Linda Hoffman, Chairman, Gates County Board of Commissioners, Melissa Lawrence, Clerk.
Is there any additional comments from the board? Certainly mental health issues and the drug problems are severe in the area, and certainly any help that we have, we very much appreciate, and we do not want to see those things reduced.
What area is the group home?
You were in it.
Well, I just know how to get there.
Tell them.
Actually, when you program, you go to Gatesville, if you keep straight, it's down there on the right. That's all I can remember. It's been a long time since I've been there, but I'm just there quite a bit.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the resolution presented to us by Trillium Glen Bay.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you so much for your support, very much. We appreciate it. I hope it makes a difference.
Well, certainly with 30 people going to be using the kiosk, speaks volumes of the need of that in the county. And if you go by the community center on nice days, or even some days that have been very cold, you see people, kids like that playing.
And certainly we appreciate the playground as well, Madam Chairman, that has been used, and certainly all the funding that Trillium set forth for Gates County citizens and that as well. I would like to comment, and I don't know if I said this before. If I have, it's just age related, and that is from I-95 east. We have a greater substance abuse that I've studied through the analysis of Trillium and others, that are 25-year and younger have a greater substance abuse than anywhere else in the state.
Well, and one of our reinvestment projects is the healing place. Of course, it'll be in Greenville. But, that's part of that money that's been earmarked, part of our reinvestment, and, we certainly don't want any of those reinvestments to be jeopardized because we're having to use unrestricted that money we've already designated for some of those projects to go to pay for services, based on what has been cut out of our budget.
And the healing place, people from Gates County can.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's actually, it would get no cost to the consumers who go there. It's a long-term.
And that also would institute a savings to our sheriff's office as far as taking patients from one location to the other, be much closer.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
And thank you for all you do for our county.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, moving on to our administrative reports. We'll start with the county manager.
This is for January 26th through February 17th. During the report period, I personally handled at least 14 calls or meetings related to zoning maps and special use permits from the planning department. The personnel board approved a new description for planner, which the commissioners will vote on later during this meeting, and the vote will determine the number of interviews to be scheduled. The historic courthouse, please see notes included in the meeting packet, and that will also be discussed during the meeting. February 7th through the 9th, Melissa Lawrence, Billy Wynn, and I attended an incident management training in Nags Head, and the purpose of the meeting was to better prepare us for duties needed during anything emergency management deems an incident. Do you have any questions?
Yes, my only question was where we stand with the planner, and I see that you're pending that based on what we do on the job description. How many applicants do we have now?
There are 2 active job applicants.
Only have 2.
Yes, sir.
How far are we expanding?
As I said, it depends on what takes place today with the job description.
Well, I'm saying how far are we?
We had advertised across the entire state. There had been at least 3, actually there were about 6 college boards that it was posted on, so it's been widely advertised.
Okay, tax. Ms. Lane?
Oh, hello, wonderful morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
I had an opportunity to look at the collector's report yesterday. It was monthly closeout, of course. Any questions or comments? So I'll point out Zacchaeus, you'll see we're a little over $12,000 received from that. The second round of mass mailing of delinquent letters, the 1st of February, over 1,900 letters that were mailed out, I think did much to spur some payments, and Zacchaeus has continued the good work. They will be, the next scheduled court date was going to be March, and that's been postponed until May. Mr. Bardell will be back during that May session with some new items, up for offer, some property, so to speak. Any questions on that report?
I see the collection rate is up to 92%.
Yes, ma'am, we're forging ahead. Yes, indeed. That advertising for the paper will take place later this month for the Gates County Index. All those unpaid accounts will be referenced accordingly as we do, as the board approved at last month's meeting.
Okay, I
And that's
see.
the first advertisement? Has there been another advertising?
Oh, no, sir, that will be the yearly, if you will, the annual advertising. We have until March 1 till June to do that advertising for general statutes. So we're going to strive for later this month to do that. It appears at that insert tab, you may recall seeing it in the Gates County Index. So.
I believe we have 1 refund.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Are there
correct.
any other questions for Ms. Lane? Okay, the refund is to what it has been, 2 people have paid the bill,
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
and it is for $1,447.96 to Industry Consulting Group Incorporated. You see the proper documentation attached. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the refund of the duplicate tax payment.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Match those. We're going to talk about the foreclosure process.
I believe Melissa did tag it in this section, if the board, if that's suitable with the board, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have that in your place?
No, ma'am.
Would you like to give us highlights?
I will, and to kind of bombard you with several statutes, basically. And I want to thank clerk to the board, Melissa Lawrence, for digging in and finding and submitting some of those to you. Basically, three options are available to the county with the current situation, with the recent sale that was transferred to the county recently with the Riddick property. A public auction per general statute 160A 270, of course, a sealed bid also in that 160A general statute -268, or an upset bid also in that header title of 160A 269. You know, we're not in the opportunity where we can do a private sale unless a party associated with the foreclosure property is interested in obtaining that, whether it be a lending institution or a heir of the Riddick property, if you will. A public auction is an opportunity, but any private negotiated sale, according to the reading, also in General Statute 105-376, is not allowable. And at this time, our party that perhaps is interested is unrelated, so a private sale cannot take place based on that. There'll have to be some advertising. I believe the county had a case situation not long ago. They went through that bid process, and you advertise so many days and whatnot. Those options, quite frankly, are the only ones available in this particular instance for us, you know, the bid. So, based on the real property situation we've had, and we did kind of send a series of statutes, and 105-376 is specific in nature with the reading of that. A big Indy School of Government, with Mr. McLaughlin there, and his blogs and his comments and his advice. Also our county attorney, who is willing to assist in any method that 105-376, that's the premise for local government. For property. And I think in the past, I did send you a synopsis of what had been used previously, ad in the paper with that reading. The county owns these properties, if you will. That description is placed in the paper, and those individuals have opportunity to offer a bid, if you will.
Okay, you've heard what Mrs. Lane has said, that the option is to put it up, advertise, and then go to the courthouse door to be sold.
Well, I don't think so. I think if you're gonna have a sealed bid, you don't need to go to the courthouse.
Well, a seal, we can have a seal bid.
You can, yes ma'am, that is an option, yes ma'am.
It seems that, we've already been to the courthouse doorsteps, it did not sell. It seems to me that we would want to advertise this, put a good description of the property, and even have on our county website, maybe even a little map of the road and location of the property, and reference that in the paper as to, see the location of the property, the county website. And let's go through a sealed bid process. Can we put a minimum value on that?
Yes, indeed, based on that, you can. The only way you would have to meet the requirements of what the foreclosure price would be, Mr. Jordan, is if an interested party associated with the property were bidding. Then that would be, you would have to set it for what those costs were incurred. And at this point, well over $2,000. If we don't move in that direction, which I don't suspect that would be the case anyway, our interested party is unrelated, so that minimum price can be set, whatever the board would deem necessary. But if it were a related entity, I just want to clarify that the county would want to redeem. They could not go below, I think it's $2,668. We've already got incurred the cost with that. So if an interested party were of the property, were bidding on it, we could not go below that over $2,000 plateau. But you can set any price you wish on it with the sealed bid, whether it be, I would say, 800 or 1,000, I don't know.
And with that, we could accept it or not.
That is correct, based on the occurrence that was done several months ago with the county, with what the process was with the unrelated property, yes.
Our interest right now I would like to see it, go to the sealed bid, advertise. Of course, we have to adopt a resolution today that you make up for us and approve of these signs. And let's get these problems off the book.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, would you like to make that in a motion?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we advertise foreclosed properties for sealed bids, stipulating a minimum bid price to cover county expenses for each individual property. And included in that motion, to approve the resolution to move forward for the chairman to sign, chairman of the board to sign.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, a motion made and properly second that we go to sealed bid with a minimum set to cover county expenses. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. So Ms. Lynn, if you can get that to us.
Yes,
Now, we
indeed.
do have a second meeting this month,
Mm-hmm.
coming up.
Okay. That's
So
been
you would have paperwork for us at that point.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, yes, yes, ma'am, yes, indeed. Thank the board for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's get that off and become tax producing revenue for us.
Madam Chairman, before we place it away, I just, and I was not aware of this, 168,277. I wonder if we should, those of us at least make that,
What page is that?
160, page 101 on, this one, the
168, 269?
168-277. Sale of land to volunteer fire departments, rescue squads procedure.
I saw that.
Did you? Okay. Just to discuss it some later date, make sure that our folks are aware of that, because it could be record later. So the county's advantage.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lane.
All right, thank you.
Reports from any of the other departments, or does the board have questions for any of the other departments?
I did note that one of our audit findings was that we exceed our budget line items many times, and I believe it was recommended that we implement what do you call them, adjustments?
Amendments.
Amendments to cover that. We do have several occasions where we go over budget, and I thought we were pretty much on top of that, trying to cover those when we do go over. So,
And, excuse me.
go ahead, that's all right.
Yeah, I tabbed some of those. I see inspections with over and part-time.
And if you'll note, there have been some internal adjustments that have been made that are not reflected in this report that you
Okay.
received as well.
I know like the medical examiner, the fees have gone up for that. Legal fees for DSS, I believe.
Right, and if you remember that as long as there's money within their budgets, that these are some, there is one today that will cover some of this that you're highlighting. And like I said, there have been other internal ones that you do not have to approve that have already taken care of some of these for this accounting period. That will be reflected in the next accounting period.
And so when they do that, that satisfies the audit reports. Because I agree with Mr. Jordan, if you look and see where we overspent.
And that is not what he was referencing when he did say someone, that one about solid waste came up. That is not what he was referencing, the month to month. He was referencing the one at the year end. That was where there was the finding for solid waste.
everybody need to, after reading the reports handed in by departments, is there anyone who has questions about any of those? Hearing none, I do have a couple of things. I went to the Foreign Trade Zone meeting that was held in Currituck on February the 7th of this year. Those of you know that the Foreign Trade Zone is a geographical area inside the United States. Generally, it's in 60 miles or 90 minutes from the port, and we are, of course, at Hampton Roads. And northeastern North Carolina has been included in the this foreign trade zone, and a lot of merchandise is going to be being brought in by cargo. It is a deep water port and can handle the large cargo ships. You know, merchandise is coming in, warehouses will be needed. There might be some assembly eventually on some of that. And the benefits of this is that it's duty deferred if a company uses an area in the foreign trade zone, and they can transfer it to another zone without incurring any additional fees or what from the government. The problem for us is roads, 4 lanes. You know, we are not at a 4-lane. I mean, it goes from Tar Heel, but from Tar Heel to Virginia Line to the Black Cats, it's not 4-lane. There is the CCX, the Carolina Connector Railroad, is building a hub in Edgecombe County. But once again, there's no direct linkage by 4 lanes to us. I just want to make you aware of it. We will stay going to the meetings, you know, trying to see if there's opportunities. Warehouses, they said, if for a warehouse, the smallest probably they want would be 100,000 square feet, which is kind of large as well. And, you know, there's some application and various things, but I just want to keep you informed that we are in the free trade zone. They are moving. That's one of the reasons Highway 17, they're pushing to make that an interstate, thinking that will be helpful. That'll be more helpful to Camden and Currituck, and going up that way as well. So I want to make you aware of that. Also, on January 30th, I went to the 350th anniversary meeting. Joy, that just left the Merchants Mill Pond, Greenwood, and I were on that committee. Now Vanessa Truman has been added to that. 350th anniversary is when the first 4 counties in North Carolina were formed. And we are a part of once the Albemarle County that was originally formed. And so they are planning a celebration for next year in 2018, which is the 350th anniversary. And we're looking at what possibilities are going to be. Each county is requested to have an event in their county celebrating the 350th anniversary of that. I think it'll be at the Merchants Mill Pond, our event. One of the things they're planning on doing is bringing the Carolina Charter from 1663 to the northeastern region. Do not know exactly what that will entail. It has to be under police guard 24/7. And it has to be secured at all times, and it very, very rarely leaves Raleigh. So there's going to be some logistics with that. If it comes through Gates County, the sheriffs will have to give it a motorcade to protect it as it comes through. But anyway, just want to let you know that is, they're going to probably maybe do sites so that people who are coming in the area will know where to visit historic sites in the area, pay a brochure. Just, you know, a lot of pioneers are being flooded or rain. And some seminars as well concerning North Carolina. And so just making you aware of that. Also, there might be panels for display, like in the Island Library, with showing the history of the county development of the counties as well. And of course, there might be some requests for funding down the road when we're talking about budget. So I just want to make you aware of those things.
Would you like me to do it?
Okay, you
You
can
can
do
do
it.
it, okay. One other thing that came, I believe when, some of you may have received this, it is join us as we celebrate the Museum of the Albemarle's 50th anniversary at a gala on Friday, April 21st from 7 to 11. And there is a phone number that is available to call for more information. I will be posting this on the bulletin board and the administrative building as well, and we will make sure that it is posted. I believe they sent it to the library so that they can share that information as well. You have to buy tickets in order to attend there, from what I understand.
Also, I received a call from Brian Raintree. His aunt, Jessie Raintree Williams, is getting ready to celebrate her 100th anniversary. And he asked if the Gates County Board of Education, Board of Commissioners, would send a letter celebrating her 100 years as a county resident. And I'd like to bring that to your attention. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chairman, I think it's very appropriate that we send this letter of commendation for attaining 100 years. Not only the citizens of the county, but the age.
I know.
I'll make that motion that we draft a letter and we send to the man.
Okay, and for each of us to sign. And I know we've done it in the past, but do I have a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion's been made and second to send Jessie Raintree Williams. She will be 100 years old on March 7th, 2017. And so, can you imagine how different the world is today than when she was born?
So, quite a bit.
Quite a bit. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. And we'll sign this at our break.
I think we have several citizens in the county that have attained 100. I know there's two at Downey.
And I know I went to a birthday party for one of the twins.
It's night,
Yes.
mom and night.
Yes. And certainly, you know someone who's 100 years old and a resident of the county, please let us know. We want to recognize them for their longevity. Ms. Edith Holmes is approaching, but not quite there yet.
I would like to mention that my uncle was not currently a Gates County citizen, however, he was born. He passed away week before last at 102, and his wife's still living, and they had celebrated their 79th anniversary, wedding anniversary.
That is amazing. On the calendar, a couple things. You've got from Albemarle Hope Line, their legislative breakfast is March 6th at Cypress Creek in Elizabeth City at 7:30 in the morning. And the Meals on Wheels are celebrating, and they have asked the commissioners to take part and help deliver meals one day in the month of March as well. So I was just trying to bring you up to date on a variety of things that are happening. Okay, I think maybe we'll take a stretch break before we
Madam
go.
Chair, could we, unless we, eminent right
No, go ahead.
a couple of departmental observations.
Okay.
See, we have departments here. On the water department, we had 159 delinquent accounts. On January 3rd, there were 50 disconnects. Just off the top, do you know how many reconnects we had? Out of those 50 disconnects, were they all reconnected?
Yes, sir.
They were?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Over a period of time, not immediately.
Okay. Also,
you referring to putting the water line back in, or are you talking about erosion?
Well, the erosion, as we discussed previously, there's been some allusion to the fact that our broken water line could have enhanced the erosion. But as far as the water line, we know that's fixed
That's scheduled for middle of April.
by April.
Yes.
The permanent fix.
The
Permanent fix.
Yes,
Okay.
For that one and the one on Honey Pot.
that's correct, I'm on 58.
The erosion in that area, have we talked to the highway department, seeing where we are on that?
Ron Shook, I'll address that. Ron Shook, as stated before, said COT has done what they're gonna do. And when, we were at the incident management training, we spoke with people and from the state level who work with hazard mitigation and a couple of other grants. And we also spoke with, someone who was here Monday for the Resilient Redevelopment Program. And they said that based upon the information we've provided, that there is no funding available to purchase dirt to refill those holes at those breaks.
So basically, we're gonna tell the landowner that that's your responsibility, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
And the
But
county-
That is based upon the information that we have received and what the commissioners decide else.
But they have applied for it too.
That was not funded based on the information that was provided the other day.
All right, well,
But there is no state or federal money for that project.
in that area, and we're implementing a permanent fix, is that water buildup in that area going to potentially affect any of our water lines as far as exposure? I mean, you know, you've got a washout there.
When that's repaired, it will be repaired to a directional bore going up 10 to 12 foot beneath the existing depth of that hole.
So we won't be subjected to any exposed lines or.
No, sir.
All right, well, we've looked at it in all the possibilities, and we don't feel we have any responsibility as far as causing that.
That is correct. Actually, the integrity of that ditch eroding away as quick as it did is what caused our water line to break, not vice versa. But there's multiple other spots in the county that has the same erosion and washout issues that exposed the water line, but the water line did not break.
All right. I did, thank you, Mike. Did have a question on, the rescue squad as to where we are in personnel staffing, as well as purchasing of the new vehicles that, we were talking about.
What was the staffing question?
Well, where are we regarding personnel staffing? You know, we staff to a point where we feel that we are a normal operating standard, or do we have people that we're still trying to hire? Where are we in personnel staffing?
We're not trying to hire any people. We have the staff that we need. Our volunteer numbers are down. We have all of our open positions filled. So based on the current contract, we're fully staffed to provide one ambulance 24 hours a day.
And how about the purchasing of new vehicles?
We're in the middle of remounting another truck right now. We remounted one the spring of last year, and we've got another one that just finished last week. We're going to hopefully in the next week pick that up and drop off another truck that'll be remounted.
So that the remake for 4.
For 3 is being completed now. It just finished, and so we're going to swap it out with 1. So 1 will go and be remounted, and 3 will come back on a new chassis.
And you know, the purpose of my questioning this is, you know, we need to evaluate, we're providing $350,000 a year right now. And we have to be evaluating each year, see where we are, and see maybe if we can, you know, reduce taxes or whatever, because we haven't been a 4-cent tax to cover that, that budget amount. So we're at a point where we've gotten where we
Mr. Jordan?
Pretty fine, we how much we got a whole lot to do.
Is it okay, is the public, do I have a motion to go into public hearing for the CDBG grant 11-E-2286 close item?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, this time we have the opening for the, public hearing concerning the close eye of the CDBG grant. This is the one, the information's in the packet. This is a money that the county has received for, to finance small community development block grant program. We received $350,000, and you see the statement there concerning that.
That was basically the one for the sewage infrastructure.
Correct. So that we can close that grant item.
And that's grant number 11E-2286, right?
Yes.
Madam Chairman, if there's no public comment, I'll make a motion to come out of.
Okay, motion's been made to come out of public hearing. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So we're out of public hearing at this time. I will entertain a motion to approve the close out of this CDBG grant 11-E-2286 that was involved in sewer growth.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion?
Yes. Of course, this was just part of the funding for that. I believe there's another 700,000.
There's additional funding out there, but this part has already been expended, so that's why we have to do the grant closeout and the grant paperwork that I have to sign for this portion of the money.
And we chose this one because this was the time limit on this one, wasn't it?
This money has been spent.
Yeah, they had to be spent. We had to spend this one first.
We were supposed to start sometime this month or next month in preparing the Sprayfield site. I think McAllister, who's he with?
Mike,
Mike McAllister.
Right, that was the proposed, and I've not had any updates, so I'm assuming those are the same projected dates.
Right. So we do have adequate funding from the next grant, and I think we allocated some fund balance to complete the project. That's all I have.
okay. Do I have we've already got a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, are prepared to vote? All those in favor of closing out the CDBG grant for number 11-E-2286, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, County Manager, if you can finish up so that will be off the books. Let's just take a short 5-minute break before we go into old new business, and we can sign this letter of birthday celebration.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to old business. First item is the historic courthouse there. As you see, we have monies available for the courthouse in the line item. And have we heard anything else from Clearscape and or?
The emails are included, those are the last responses that I've had.
Okay. I believe I was asked to talk to the Historical Society about what their what they thought that they could do. If you know that they have already done restoration work on the genealogy room and the Patriots room, and Patriots room has a restricted endowment from the Gatlin family, where every year proceeds from that investment we get, but it has to be used on that room particularly. And
Genealogy.
the Patriots room. Well, it's really the genealogy, it was the genealogy room. This guy is called the Gatlin room. And we can, and we have to have, we fill out forms and we have to have receipts. It has to be spent on that, and we will continue to honor, do that, maintain those rooms. And the Thad Ewer room, we have funds for, the family has donated his memorabilia to the county, and we have funds to set that room up with the display cases and do the interior work on that room. So that, we will certainly be willing to do that, to contribute that. And of course, if we are concerned about some of the windows and out, those two rooms, if we get grants, certainly we would be willing to include the courtroom or something if we can get grants to replace windows with, if possible. However, they were not in favor of signing a letter about donations. They just felt, well, first of all, I think they feel like we need to have a MOU, a memorandum of understanding of what our responsibilities are with the county. I believe I know we have done some research. Cabarrus County has a courthouse that the Arts Council use. And there's a memorandum of understanding who's responsible for what. Insurance, utilities, things like that.
I thought this letter was coming from the county, not the historical society.
Well, on the back, it has a place for the signature of the asylum.
But this was the letter that was drafted in 2015, and these were the names that were discussed at that time.
Who drafted the letter?
I drafted it based on a letter that I was given, well, that was in a file when I got here, so I don't know who did that, but the council did review it, as I stated, on July 8th of 2015, and there were no changes that were made to it.
Yeah, from what I can recall, the old courthouse committee, I think you've been on that for a while.
No.
No, you weren't, it was John Moore, I'm sorry. We had developed a letter, and we were gonna publish a letter, from my recollection, based on the county issuing the letter. The Historical Society was basically just a partner in helping to provide funding for what they said they wanted to assist with. In that light, it would be, the letter would be headed from the county, all the commissioners' names on the letter, and basically soliciting donations to be a part in restoring this historic monument, if you will. So I'm in favor of publishing the letter, without the Historical Society's signature on it, because, we're basically seeking those funds to assist with the reconstruction or restoration. And Historical Society is only going to do what they're going to do. That's their West Wing or whatever. We're not asking them to do anything else. So I think the letter needs to reflect its board of commissioners rather than the Historical Society. I also observed, I would think we want to tweak it a little bit, the letter, a little bit.
If you could send those, and we can put this on the 20th agenda, because we do meet again on March 20th. Like I said, this was one that commissioners were in a consensus agreement from 2015.
Or could you send this in the Word form so that?
I believe I sent it to you before you got this, but I can send it again.
It's in the package.
I sent it to you also in an email previously as well, but I can send it again.
Appreciate that, and then we'll tweak it, send it back to you.
Before we even get that far, who would you be, you use the word publish. Now, how are you thinking of disseminating this information to the public?
Well, we could do it a couple of ways. It could be published in the newspaper as well as, we could send it through regular billing cycle, water bill, whatever. Or we could send it to some designated individuals in the county that we think would be potential donors. What's her name? Forrester.
We talking website there?
Post. Maybe some of the county residents who got moved away from the county that have done significantly well. But I think we can send it to all of our county residents. You can put it in paper, county, soliciting those donors who would be interested in being a part of restoring the old courthouse. And, just make a public solicitation.
I'm all in favor of restoring the historic courthouse, but it is a county-owned building, and our citizens pay taxes to maintain our county-owned building for one part. And it seems like it's overkill to me to send them a tax bill and then send them a request for another donation on top of it.
Well, the thing about it is, you're going to have to go up on, well, you may not have to go up on taxes, but, any money that we bring in is going to keep us from having to increase taxes because we're not going to be using the funds that we already have. And that's the purpose of it, is intended to those who are willing. It's not a must, it's voluntary. And there's some, we can even put some incentives in it. As the donors, donors can be recognized. We can have a plaque or something recognizing donors who made contributions to the restoration of the courthouse. So there can be some incentives.
Buy 100 bricks.
By what?
Buy 100 bricks, or something of that nature.
One other thing I think would be very useful in promoting this to the public is to have a floor plan showing potential uses for each office.
I think we did have a draft of that one time. It's changed.
That's changed.
That's changed.
And actually, because of the configuration, some of those space would have to perhaps be reconfigured downstairs to actually accommodate offices in that building.
But that's my thought. I would like to see it, countywide, to have an opportunity to donate. Not set a limit. Certainly everyone's aware that it becomes part of it.
Okay, any other comments?
No comments. I'd like to mention again, I think I mentioned before, Madam Chairman, but just so we have it in the record too, that Cousin Thad's granddaughter, Van, who is the owner-operator of the Angus Bar in Raleigh, has donated his secretary, about 200 years old, desk and pick up and bring here. And I have talked to her about donations. It's a very nice restaurant facility.
That way, that would be a formal, just allow a formal process where we can recognize everyone like your cousin to be recognized.
Madam Chairman, one thing I would like to, comment I'd like to make, that I've made in the past, and I also made this comment at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, anything they had been told or assumed from a previous county manager. They didn't need to rely on that as far as office space, that had not been determined. Who would be going in the building, or the exact final use of it. Not to eliminate anybody, but that all those decisions had to be made, as things progress. And I would also like to tell the board that I would like, with the county manager's input, I would like for us to have a lot of input on how it's used and what departments or whatever go in there. I think if it comes from the county manager's input and comes from this board, then we could certainly be responsible for making that decision and remove any previous comments from that. So I'd like to see us do that when that time comes. And it really should, because we are renovating, I know we're probably not changing walls or anything like that, but we probably should begin to give that some credence decision-wise.
They have some interior wall changes.
Oh, they have? Second floor or?
Third floor and first floor.
Okay.
I don't know who made that decision.
Inside was completed before I started work.
I don't remember any, the board making any suggestions.
I've been here the whole time during the process, and I don't remember us making decisions either. You say Natalie, that was prior to the.
That's why we need a current floor plan.
Ron, okay, very good. I know where that came from, so. Anyway, good, glad I brought that up.
And I think, as you were saying, I think when the discussion started originally, that the courtroom would be used for our meetings, so that we would have to, we could be set up permanently with our electronics and all that. Plus, if there are meeting space that could be used by others. But anyway, certainly, we need to really think so that if we want to make any changes, that we can do them during the process, especially when there is work being done on the west wing. Then you got groups here.
But I think that one of the first things that Natalie dealt with, if I remember correctly, was phone issues, if I remember correctly.
Phones had already been set up over there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to put
The letter.
the letter and send it out and, torque it and see what we're going to do and do some work like what our vision is with the floor plan and what offices go there as well. So, okay, no formal, that's just.
Well, then you just, I did not know if you wanted to discuss the bricks or anything. As you can see, I did ask the question about the differences or the wording differences that were in the letter that Clearscapes had provided to us. And you can see on February the 14th where Clearscapes responded. And then on the 15th where James Andrews, who was actually the person doing the work, construction company, had responded back as well.
I think all that is discussion on, how the restoration is going to take place, what's going to have to be replaced for the floor and joists and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And I think those are, contractual decisions based on,
But there's
contractors'
also,
decisions based on what their opinion on the usability of material is.
right, and that's why I wanted you to have all of this, because that will affect the final numbers. And it could change the quotes that you were provided in the previous meeting.
Well, I know that the first floor on West Wing that is open pretty
Just plywood on the floor.
Yeah, there's plywood on the floor. And I assume, and you know which assumptions will get you, I assume the material that is in the foyer of the courthouse was the wainscoting and chair railing that was taken out of that room. That we can use, we might have to duplicate some, you know, that damaged or,
Did you recall reading where they removed some plywood and put down and then removed it? I don't know if that's back, I don't think it said that it was back down, but
No, it is back down.
it is back down.
It is back down. He covered, otherwise it would be open or dirt floor, but no.
and they had it open so that they could get to,
Did that work?
well, and also
Yes.
to look at the
Floor joist.
foundation. Okay, so we will get the letter, we'll take a look at it, we will put that on the agenda for night meeting. Okay. Moving on to EMS requests. Stan, would you like to come up? Stormy. Well, I don't know why I called you Stan. Stormy, excuse me, I apologize.
I don't have anything to add other than what Tom presented to you last time, unless you have questions.
Okay.
This has to do with the request to allow the EMS to be able to attach garnishments or
Like using the local
collection processes to the property owned or funds to be received by those who owe money.
And it's what, $126,000 of uncollected each calendar year. Well, that adds up.
That's not borrowing money from me.
So that, in 5 years, that's $500,000.
I'm
Or 4 years.
I certainly would make a motion that the Board of Commissioners requests the General Assembly to add Gates County to the general statute as a county who's allowed to collect funds that's owed for EMS services provided by our county entity.
Okay. A motion's been made and seconded. I do think there is a time-sensitive matter because local bills have to be to the General Assembly by the mid-month, isn't it correct? So we need to go ahead and act to get this bill in this General Assembly session.
Do we know that it requires a specific form? Do we know anything about anything like that?
I don't.
I would suggest that we contact Representative Hunter and Senator Cook and let them both introduce bills in their each respective chamber so that they will be parallel, you know, one in the House and one in the Senate. To act, I mean, I think it's really more of a procedural, I know most local bills
I know that Billy Wynn talked to Representative Hunter. He was talking about another subject and threw this in there right after one of our meetings, and he said that it would not be an issue, and he
Yeah,
didn't
that's-
specify how to request it. He just said it has to be.
I think we need to just contact, I mean, for our county manager to contact.
Well,
and request.
I believe that it would be carry more weight if it was signed by at least you.
Okay.
So if you would allow Ms. Lawrence, actually she already has something for you to sign it.
Okay, but the issue is in front of us. Any other comments about that? Okay, that what we're voting on is to request that we petition the General Assembly to add Gates County to GS 44-51-4, so that we have the right to attach garnishments and liens for people who have not paid for the ambulance services. Everybody clear on what we're voting for? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
And actually, she has the letter, and it's for all five of you to sign.
Okay, and we certainly can sign that and get that.
And I'll just keep it right here until the end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I believe that ends old business, new business. We have, Patrice is back there. She, about get surplus and disposition policy update. And we've been forward, we have that in, and she's indicated the areas that are to change.
This is actually the county's policy, and to make it my policy, I added these things that were requested from the auditors. I will apologize, but on the page 2 of it, under procedures where it is, I think I should have put on the third line, for transit-related purposes and not on transit-related purposes.
Third one.
On page 2, under procedures, and the fifth, statement number 5, where it says,
Upon,
Oh,
and only on transit-related, yeah,
so put on instead of,
put for instead of on,
okay,
on the,
for sale. Okay. Okay. And this has been, it's done at the request, because you received federal and state funds.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Motion?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the document before us from the GITS Department Director, and to notate the change that she just indicated on page 2.
Yeah.
second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded, and concerning the GITS, policy for surplus and disposition of property. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Personnel Board recommendations. This was the job descriptions, I believe, for for the county manager's job and the county planner job. The county planner job and tax administrator. And it comes from the recommendation of the Personnel Board. I guess we'll take each one separately. If you look at tax administration, what was taken out basically was about GIS information from the tax administrator. And then on recruitment, also once again GIS is taken out of that, because we're putting that into the planner's position. Trying to make our descriptions fit what the person is actually doing.
And the tax administrator did have input on this job description with the changes that are being recommended.
We're still tweaking GIS,
Excuse me?
still tweaking GIS.
But remember, GIS is not accounting, we don't
Right.
have it in-house,
Right,
but yes.
but just comment.
Okay, motion for the tax administrator's job description.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Personnel Board on the matter of tax administrators' duties and responsibilities presented before us today.
Okay, motion's made. Do I hear a second?
Second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Madam County Manager, we said earlier that based on what we did today to affect how we move forward with hiring the planner.
But right now, Mr. Jordan, we're on the tax administrator. We're not doing the planner right now.
We're not doing the planner.
We want to do them separate.
Well, I'll do a little discussion on that.
Okay.
While we're taking out expanding and updating geographic information system and other land records. Will not the tax administrators still assist, provide information?
If you will look at, go down 2 lines in the, it says assigns new parcel identification numbers. I was gonna say it's in red, but it's not in red in your hard copy. But there, that information is provided, and that's based upon, like I said, input from the current tax administrator. Assigns new ID numbers to facilitate updating the GIS system and other land records.
That's basically for where they're gonna have new parcel identification numbers.
Right, she will no longer be responsible for contacting GIS. It's basically what she will no longer be responsible for doing. She will be responsible for coordinating with the proposed new position to help alleviate tasks that she has in her office.
Well, and I understand that, and I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying that they still work closely with the tax administrator in order to provide the information that the planner needs to update the system. So, it's probably not as broad as I would like to see it, but I guess for now, we could move with it.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, now we're going to move on to the planner and GIS job description. As you can see, this is a draft that has been put together. You saw what has been added and what has been deleted from the previous description of our planner to include GIS responsibilities.
Madam Chairman, upon review of this, I'd like to make a motion to accept this job description as pertains to planner and GIS combination.
Okay, a motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion's been made and second. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan.
All right. How is this going to affect them moving forward with the applicants?
As I said, depending on the vote, it will depend on how many people that we interview.
Those are passed. How many are going to interview?
Then the plans are, if they're both still interested, interview 2 people.
So we don't pass.
I will have to check with them to see if they still want to be interviewed.
All right. I think we need a planner.
What John?
Now, I'm in total agreement.
Well, I didn't. Some of the things that are deleted, I guess, are a little bit overkill, and I can understand why it was deleted. But I noticed here under relationships with others on first page, where it says develops and maintains cooperative and courteous relationships with both intra and interdepartmental and with the general public. And we deleted external entities in whom position interacts. And, you know, there are times when you're going to need to interact with Raleigh, asbestos inspectors, you know, things of that sort of nature. But there again, you know, something like that was just a catch-all. But that kind of jumped out at me, but I can deal with that. I do think some of the other ones were good. If you look on the other page, second page, where it talks about inspects and approves all phases of public and private constructions and improve work to assure that the appropriate construction is completed in compliance with plan. That's over and beyond what a planner, you expect a planner to do. Certainly
This job description actually came from another county, and all of that, I apologize, should take the copy that was sent. We had discussed all of that and taken all of that out beforehand, because the job description that was used to develop this, that person also had building inspection responsibilities. So that's why a lot of the items on the right-hand side that say deleted, that's why they were deleted, because they dealt more with building inspections.
They were not deleted from anything we all had.
Right.
Just deleted from the form that you were using.
Right. Right.
I thought it was something.
No, that was never in our current job description.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
You have a motion?
We don't have any sophomores inventory.
No, this was from a city, obviously.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the planner GIS job description, so at this time, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so that has been approved. And so you can start interviewing for that. Okay, we have a request for, a budget request, Amendment 29. I don't have
I was
it.
gonna say, do you have a hard copy of budget 29? It's not in the packet. That will address one of those issues that you had, but you can go ahead and go to the next one if you want.
Okay. Okay, surplus request for disposition.
Yes, for the black, no, that blank one is part of GITS policy. This is for the black Impala
I don't have that.
that the current, that the county manager had been driving before we purchased the new car, and recommended to be sold.
We don't have that either.
That's in my packet.
Does anybody have a surplus for black and
I do,
white?
yeah, I've got it. This one,
Before that.
right behind, it's right behind. the
Okay, I apologize, I had,
It's actually not the motor for one of the windows. The window has just fallen. There's something internally wrong, so the window works. There's knocking in HVAC. So it's just recommended sale with no reserve with the opening bid of like $300.
What is the year of this impound?
98, 99.
That would be good.
But it's, I have been told, as I put on here, that the car from the mechanic who looked at the heat and air condition said when the air compressor goes out, the air compressor costs more than the value of the car. And it has like 180,000 miles on it.
Don't doubt that, but I mean,
the model number, I mean,
That will all
model.
be put on GovDeal's website.
For the historical purposes, as far as research and stuff, might even be a good idea to have the VIN number, your VIN number in the future, might help us a bit too.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
So moved. That, it'd be placed into gov deals.
Okay, motion has been made and properly seconded to put the black Impala on GovDeal for surplus and disposition.
19,
It's currently the only black Impala that the county owns also,
but he,
just so you'll know.
that year makes a difference.
We can add that in.
If it's 2005,
No, you,
I'd probably give it 300.
Okay, so, it's in the 1990s. So you think 2017, that's 17, I was only about probably 20 years old. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. I had a run-in with that car at the parade.
This is when you broke the plastic off of it.
Well, yeah, I kind of broke it. So I had a workman's comp issue. I did get injured. Also, we have from Angela Welch, who is, of course, head of our
have this resolution, and they are requesting change to the strategic transportation investments. This is how funding is decided for all of the state projects. And basically, they feel like the state, the current funding formula does not recognize rural areas, and therefore our roads lack as a result of that. So attached is the resolution that was signed by Lloyd Griffin, who is the RTAC chair, and along with Angela Welch, who is the regional planner for the Albemarle Commission. They have requested that the county support this resolution and send letters in support of this. And I will read you a sample letter. Right, but then they have a sample letter that they recommend that she then sent later, and at top end it says, in January 2017, the North Carolina House Select Committee on Strategic Transportation Planning and Long-Term Funding Solutions released their draft report. And the Rural Transportation Advisory Committee of the Albemarle Rural Planning Organization has reviewed the draft report and offers following comments. And there are 8 areas that they offer their comments on funding of the state transportation infrastructure needs. And the Albemarle Regional Planning does not support the use of any locally controlled funds, including but not limited to occupancy taxes. The second was transportation mega projects funding. And while the Albemarle region does support the establishment of a mega project fund, if legislation includes a provision stating rural regions must be adequately represented on the work group, because currently they are not represented on the work group. And the scoring criteria must be used, which will provide level playing fields for rural projects along with metropolitan projects. And they do not support funds being taken from the current funds to fund these mega projects. Oversight of State Infrastructure Bank, the board offers no comments. They also offer no comments on the Blue Ribbon Committee on Transportation Infrastructure Funding. In regards to the STI regional and division weighting, which is how the boards decide which projects receive funding allocations, the board supports more emphasis on economic development criteria at the regional and divisional tiers instead of the congestion criteria in the spot score to level the playing field for rural projects. There was discussion, this is not in the letter, but there was discussion about many of the projects that were funded to help alleviate congestion, which is not such a problem in rural areas. However, there are other areas, just like us, that need roads for economic development. For federal funds, the board supports the recommendation given maximum flexibility at all levels. The state ports, the board supports the recommendation, and for the state roll and dredging, the board supports the General Assembly seeking authority from the federal government for the state to assume a larger role in dredging and using dredging sand for beach nourishment as no locally controlled funds, including but not limited to occupancy tax reuse. And those are the letters that was sent to all the people who represent all 10 counties of the Albemarle region. And if you would, they would ask that you either support the resolution and just let the Representative Hunter and Senator Cook know that we support that, or we do not support what Albemarle RPO has recommended.
As you can see, the rural areas of North Carolina are not getting their share the way the formulas are written. That you read. And certainly to help us, we need a change in the formula.
I would fully support the resolution as an individual. Can you speak to, Natalie, so we're 10 counties, the resolution is, for a new formula is accepted, the Grace Formula resolution. Now, our ARPO gets X number of dollars. How about the formula within Kent County? We're talking about DARE.
No, that's not, this formula is for Division One, transportation.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if you've heard anything that could speak to, I know it's going to Division One.
Mhm.
Now it's time for Division One to distribute it among the 10 counties.
Right.
Has anything been said about the formula for us to?
That is part of one of the,
I know it's a separate issue.
the STI regional and divisional weighting system. They want to change that. That's where they said they want to put more emphasis on economic development instead of congestion criteria. Because when we had to give our score in September, the way it's done is, trying to make it as simple as possible. The division, DOT's division, they have so many points they can give projects. But as they know, they have X amount of money and they anticipate allocating X amount each year. So they will look at all the projects in the division and then they give them points based upon the criteria that the state has set forth. Then when the RPO gets together, we get to rank those projects as well. They then add all the numbers, and whoever has the most points then is more likely to get the funding. And once again, when the division looked at, they also looked at not just the congestion and all that, they also looked at how much the project cost. For example, there was a project or a proposal to pay Highway 32, basically from Eatonton to the Virginia line. And it would take me a while to find it. I have the document somewhere in a folder here. It might take me a while to find it. But it exceeded the amount of money that DOT was willing to allocate in 1 year for a project. So therefore, they didn't get it anyway. I could have voted for that project, but it would have been a lost points. So instead, I put Gates County points on widening the shoulders going across across the swamp. That was that Willington Road was not even on the list. They wanted to, and DOT had put points on that project as well. So when all was said and done, the way it was looking, every county, nothing that matters, every county I do not think had a project that made it into, even from the DOT funding. Dare County had several, Pasquotank, I think, had 2, maybe 3. I can't remember, Currituck may have had 1, not counting the Mid-County Bridge. So some counties did not receive any projects that received any points. So I can't tell you exactly how much money Dare's going to get because then they had to go back and add all the other numbers and do all their cost assessments as well. But then the RPO does get money for those 10 counties for Angela Welch's position. But none of that is related to the STI.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion, we support this resolution to revise the law for help rural areas.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, a motion is made, seconded to support the resolution requesting changes to STI law to the FAR formula for rural counties. Any further discussion?
Who will sign the letter?
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Now, do we want to do the letter as well as the resolution, or is the letter just an FYI?
The letter would support that.
Support.
Okay. Okay, well, and on new business,
Yes, ma'am, budget 29.
Oh, yes, budget 29 has miraculously appeared. Mrs. Blow might need to come.
Who? Ms. Hawks, no, I can do the,
Okay.
I'll do this one because actually I did.
It's
this
Keystone,
budget.
it's Miss Lane.
Right, but I'll explain it, but
Okay.
if you like.
That's fine, thank you.
This was to pull money from fund balance because we did not pay all of Keystone's contract last fiscal year due to several issues. We withheld part of their payment, and as far as we can see, most of the changes have occurred, and so now we are willing to pay the $5,000 to them that is owed, and this would come from fund balance.
Okay, it's a bill we owe.
That's a bill we
Entertain a
pay.
motion.
I'll make a motion that we authorize payment of budget amendment 29 as described in budget amendment 29.
Here, a second.
Second motion.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay, so we'll finish up with Keystone. Okay, any additional business
Madam Chairman,
on new business?
I'll ask the county manager this question if I may.
Okay.
Just looking at closed session, I said that I wanted to have some dialogue pertaining to surplus, government surplus. Will it fall into categories in legal or economic? Would the economic development, legal cover that?
I think it would depend on what was the question.
Our attorney going to be,
He's at lunch right now.
I mean, is he going to be in closed session?
No, because actually I did not have any updates on any of the
I
other
just didn't want to
projects.
discuss it in closed session if it wasn't covered by general statute, is the wrong reason I asked.
Legal is kind of broad.
No, that's what I said, it would depend on kind of what your question.
I think legal will cover it, I just want to be on record that I was from.
Okay, because we were not having closed session.
Oh, excuse me.
We're on.
I did not have any updates.
I'm sorry, I
I
saw
double
it
checked
up there,
really
please.
good, but
Okay.
whatever we can.
But we can.
No, it's not that, it was just a thought, and I want to be above board.
Can't think of anything we've addressed, the minor item. That may help me out a whole lot. I think I'm part-time planner too right now.
Okay, we have citizens' comments. Do we have any? No citizens' comments? Commissioners' comments, beginning with Commissioner Freeman.
Thank you, ma'am. Certainly appreciate the input from our citizens. I don't know how many that I've heard from since our last meeting, but there have been several. And I'm sure that our various departments have gotten those calls as well. And because of that, it makes us pay close attention to the government of Gates County and what we do for everybody in Gates County, not only our county employees, but our citizens as well. So we thank you for your input and your consideration.
Thank everyone for attending this morning. Henry, I don't have a whole lot of bragging rights this morning. I got Lori over there, but she had to be here anyway. But and just a couple of comments on the historic courthouse we're working on. I do hope that we can get that moving, and it would be very nice to see it very close to being completed before this fiscal year is right, or this calendar year is right. But there are a lot of concerns about, a lot of concerns come to me about, well, what are you going to do with it? Who's going to be in there? And I hope we get all those questions answered. So thank you for being here.
I think everyone for being here, especially District 4, Billy, I did have quite a few here, but they had to leave a little earlier, but,
You can have the trophy today.
No, I'm claiming the trophy, I got 3
but,
that stayed.
all right. We do thank our citizens for the input. I would like to have our county manager just kind of update our citizens of some of the things that you all bring to me regarding how we're doing on the school project. And I think at this time, we're still in the process of trying to get the funds straight. County managers, where are we on that?
Nothing can be done with the funds until after the committee meets on Monday. They will meet to review the RFPs and listen to select architectural groups who have provided information for that. And then after that, then additional funding will be, the funding request for the QZB will be brought before the commissioners. That cannot be, nothing can be done with that until after the RFP process was completed. So once, and that was confirmed yesterday with Dr. Williams.
So we are moving along with the school project, and we thank the citizens for their interest in inquiring about that. And we're trying to do whatever we can to make Gates County a better county for all. Thank you.
It's good to be here today. Good to see everyone. And I've been advised that I'm supposed to supply lunch at the next day meeting, so I will take care of that. And so we may need it. It might be so elaborate we might have to take an extra 30 minutes for it. So I thank my fellow board members for their input today, and county manager, thank you. It's summer or spring, I'm not sure, but it's time to get out and enjoy life, the weather permitting it for us. So it's good to see everybody again. Have a great day.
I'd too like to thank you for coming, and I do have 3 people who stayed the whole time, so I think I get the trophy of the day for having those people. And I'm proud of Topsail, and I'm proud of our citizens, but I'm proud of all our citizens in Gates County. As we move forward, a lot of issues are always before us. I'm trying to make decisions to make the county better. Certainly, I think the presentations this morning by Trillium, opens the eyes of people to services that are provided here in the county. I know people have mentioned we have a group home. Did not realize that. Also, all the services were mentioned. The more information we can get out to our citizens so that they are aware of the services that are available and they can take advantage of them, the better we all will be. I would like to encourage you, it is spring-like, to get outside, breathe fresh air, have an enjoyable afternoon, and we meet again on the 3rd Monday night of the month, on the 20th. Maybe we'll have something about schools to share at that point. We don't know. We're going to have a meeting goes this week. So that is something I know everybody's interested in, and have updates on all the projects we are in the process of doing. Okay.
Madam?
Yes.
Could I add one thing too, since you brought up Trillium, and I had shared this briefly with Commissioner Felton, but Trillium did treat last year 26,250 adults and children for services, mental health and substance abuse, just in our area. I did want to also bring forward that unfortunately Gates County is #1 in the state for cancer. Our percentage is 21.2%, whereas the state of North Carolina is 22.7%. Cancer-related deaths and diseases of the heart, we rank 2 in the state. So 1 and 2 for those 2 diseases. I could go on others, but those things are alarming to us, and I'm sure that when they bring forth to the commissioners and to the county the state of the county health report, we'll see this again.
And certainly we need to encourage a healthy lifestyle and proper diet and proper medical care, or early medical care, or preventions, things that we can do test. And speaking of Trillium, they have done a wonderful job. The flip side is they had a huge cash reserve. That's why the General Assembly has tapped in to make them cough up some of their money. There's always an all side of the story. But we're thankful for what they do and are continuing to do.
And Madam Chairman, I would like to say that Commissioner Freeman represents us well with Trillium.
Okay, go in recess until March 20th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. I think this is almost a record.